If you go to a church and you sit there and you do not hear your pastor bring up human trafficking, bring up child molestation, bring up abortion, murdering babies, if you do not at least hear him bring that up in prayer, you need to go up to the pastor and you need to ask him about it. As a matter of fact, I'm being convicted because I've gone to a church and that has not happened. Thank you very much. You see, Annie, I'm preaching to myself. Annie LeBear, she's my guest. She's amazing warrior for Christ. And I hope I get this right. She's been on the show before. I should get it right. But she was into prostitution for many, many years. But now she's a warrior for God. Not only has she gotten out of it, but she's reaching out to help other victims in it. Annie, you with me?
I'm here.
It's good to have you. Annie, what is the difference? Let's go. Let me start with you first. How many years were you into prostitution?
Well, honestly, David, here's the deal. I entered the sex industry into prostitution on my own without a trafficker, but I was only in it about a year. And then the successive years after that, which is 16 off and on, 10 years total on a solid run, I was trafficked, sex trafficked. So no longer was it my own will, my own choice. Prostitution, that's what it is. It's the will and the desire to sell yourself to make money, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when someone is being forced, they're being tricked, they're being coerced, they're being threatened with their life, it is no longer a free will situation. Now you are a trafficking victim.
Okay, so let's define that, because that was going to be my second question. The difference between prostitution and human trafficking is prostitution is usually your own free will to prostitute. Human trafficking is when it's against your will.
And you can't get out. You can't
get out.
There's so many different factors that happen. You get your ID taken, you get isolated from your family, you get beat, you get threatened with your life, your children, if you have children, or your animals that you love, or you get threatened with, a black hat ops, which is called blackmail, of the pictures that they've taken of you towards your family, whatever, to ruin and to cancel culture you from all social media, and not including just social media, social life in general. So naturally, a person that lives in fear, that doesn't have enough guts to leave, is going to cower and stay with the abusive traffickers because now they have no choice. So it's just like the mafia.
Wow. So how did you, because I have a lot of questions for you. So real quick, how did you go from prostitution to human trafficking? What was that arc that took you there? How'd that happen?
So first of all, and we'll just break this down fairly quickly because I could talk about this for days and hours. Yeah. But a person, a female or a male, a child, a teenager, I was a teenager when I got into it. And
How old?
Reason why I was 18.
18.
Now,
okay.
The scientists say that when you are growing up, the brain scientists know, I've learned this over the years because my husband has 2 brain tumors, that your brain doesn't fully form till about, it's average between the ages of 22 to 25. So your wisdom and your experience is very nil at that point in your life. And also all your reactions to anything emotionally, especially for a growing woman, is not adult yet.
Okay.
So I honestly, though, I was date raped and exploited when I was 8, 9 years old, and date raped when I was 15, 16. So I had a vulnerability set up. And then my father was an abusive alcoholic. He abused my mom in front of his kids. He drew blood from her. And pulled guns, his shotguns on her. And I didn't find this out until just a couple of years ago. My mom told me my dad brought out the shotgun and said, if you leave us, I'm going to kill all of us and you and me. And so my mom was in a very abusive relationship. So I lived that way. And see, that's kind of the geome for a lot of the victims that actually choose the sex industry to, maybe they start on webcam first. They start working maybe for the strip club. Maybe they start working for the massage parlor, or they'll start working for the strip club just as a cocktail waitress. And then all of a sudden, someone in that business sees them. They see the naivety. the vulnerability, the innocence, right?
Yeah.
And they target, that's a hunger in their soul, that they know that that person can make a lot of money, because the customers, the high demand of the customers is very young girls. Now, I did not look 18 when I first started working. I looked probably about 14. I have a very young face.
Yeah.
I'm 53 right now.
Wow.
I
God
don't
bless
look
you.
it.
Yeah. No, you don't. You
But
don't.
when I was 18, I looked like a little girl, and
So,
that sells.
okay, so you were a
Huge.
prostitute, and okay,
I was
let
a
me back
stripper
up, because
first.
Andy, I got so many questions for you. I don't want to rush you, but I got so many questions because you're a wealth of information. Real quick, what was your first experience as a prostitute? What was that thing that made you get into it? Do you
So I
know?
got into it. My girlfriend and I were at a club one night,
Yeah.
and these guys bought us drinks. We both had fake IDs. They were undercover traffickers. We did not know it. My
Okay.
girlfriend flew to Hawaii after one of the guys, she gave her number, and they
Okay.
got friendly with each other. And then I flew to Hawaii probably about a month later, and I
Okay.
learned how to sell myself.
Uh,
So it's called turning a trick. In
oh,
Hawaii, with some Japanese men, came back to the States, quit all 3 of my jobs, and I got into escorting in Minnesota, and I started dancing at the strip clubs because I almost got killed on an out call with a machete and a gun. I got
wow.
scared. And at the strip club, David, I was on the stage dancing. I was thinking, I'm just going to pick all of my customers, and we call them buyers now, Trick
Okay.
John's buyers marks. And I'm going to pick my buyer, so I know he's going to be safe. And this man walked up to the stage with a bunch of money, and he was super handsome. And he bought me a drink, and I gave him my number. I thought I could get money from him, but we became in a very heated sexual relationship. And then he became my boyfriend.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend's calling me from Las Vegas. Hey, come to Vegas. He was in trouble with the police, David. I let him move in with me. Bad. It was a toxic relationship. At this point, he was not my trafficker yet. When we got to Las Vegas, I believe it was 1987, 88. And by the way, the mob was still running Vegas back then.
Yeah, now that's another show. So what I'm hearing is your boyfriend actually turned into your trafficker. Does this, Annie? Is this the way it usually goes, that the boyfriend becomes the trafficker?
It's pretty common. It's more, I would say, 50% to 75% have their boyfriend as their trafficker, or their girlfriend, because some girls are LGBTQ, so
Right.
women will traffic them, vulnerable women. And so he was my boyfriend, David. And the first night that I worked, he beat me to a pulp and told me, I'm your pimp, B. You break yourself and give me every dollar.
Annie, let me ask you this. Human trafficking, first of all, I think that we don't really understand what it is, okay? I do a little bit more because I research it and investigate it, but I think the normal person out there, in any given town, let's say, 1 million people plus, even 500,000 plus, would you find that there's people being trafficked sexually that would live down the street, live next door? Are they in high schools? I mean, places that Yes.
Anywhere. I mean, I could go to Walmart and point out traffickers, relationship between a trafficker and his traffickee, I should say, a victim. I could go to a workout place and see a pimp with his girl. I could go to it. Well, nightclubs are really obvious. Okay. I could go to a casino right now and I could show you someone working that has a trafficker. So it is right down the street. It's sometimes your next door neighbor. It is such a, and especially Las Vegas, by the way. Las Vegas has the highest per capita of trafficking in the United States. In the United States, there was a study done by the Creighton University.
I can walk through an airport because I've done so much research on it, Annie, and I can't guarantee it, but I can I'll look at a girl and I'll look at the guy, and I can tell you that there's two things going on. Either she's being trafficked or she's in a very abusive relationship, maybe both. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So here's another question I have that I think that we would like to ask you, and I know you'll answer honestly. Okay. a lot of the listeners out there have children, they have daughters, they have granddaughters or grandchildren. What's the chances of them coming into contact with someone that will traffic them sexually? Number one. Number two is, what can they look out for in their children to see if they're either into prostitution underground or if they're being trafficked?
So I want to just say this, and I don't want anyone to get shocked or go, "Oh my gosh, she's wrong." No, let me tell you, David, before they die, 100%, they will meet a trafficker. 100%.
Where
they will come across a trafficker.
Wow.
And so here was I was going to share with you guys today. How do we stop this? Number one, your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, whoever it is, you need to have a relationship with them where you can talk to them about real things. You can tell them the truth, right? Have that good relationship. If you don't have that relationship, when you bring them the truth, they will not listen to you. Okay, number one. So everyone listening, write that down. Fix your relationships between your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your people that are in your life that you want to help if you feel like they're being threatened. And number two is this: you need to educate them. Once you fix that relationship and establish that good relationship with them, you need to educate them. There's something called the trafficking power and control wheel. Okay, if you Google it, it'll show you pictures of it. It's excellent. I actually have a picture right here. And when you see this, you're going to recognize it. It looks like this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah. Wow.
This wheel is such an excellent educational tool. Okay, it's a sex trafficking power and control wheel by Polaris Project. And this actually was based on the DB model power and control wheel from Duluth, Minnesota. And they changed it for trafficking and labor trafficking. And so if you can teach your small child what trafficking is, what exploitation is, the chances of them getting involved with a trafficker will decrease huge. I mean, we don't know the percentage that will happen, but education is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really need to teach them. I don't care. Okay, now, five's too young. No, if you have a child that's 5 and they're on their iPad and they're getting messaged pictures, or, maybe they know how to spell one or two things. You know what? That person can establish a relationship with that child just like that behind your back.
And this isn't just girls, Annie. This is boys. Okay, so
there is a huge demand for little boys.
Yeah,
it's disgusting, right?
Yeah, I
Not
know.
that girls isn't disgusting, but
I know it.
Come on.
This makes me want to throw this cup against the wall when I talk about this. But real quick, I will need to ask you. Then we have to take a break. We're going to come back with you. When it comes to little boys or boys, men, are the buyers men or are the buyers women?
The majority, I hate to say this, the majority of them are men. And David, men in very prestigious positions and elite positions sometimes. Yeah. Many times, actually. Yeah. In different, you just be shocked at the things that I actually know.
Yeah.
If you said it on this call, we would both get in trouble.
I know. I know.
But we just want to say that it's out there, that listen, we have such an insidious practice going on. By the way, it's been going on since the dawn of man and woman, right? Yeah. But right now is a great time for our entire world to wake up because of these smartphones. Mm-hmm. We can reach everybody with this message.
We can if they don't censor us. Annie, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to be talking to Annie LeBaire, ex-prostitute, now warrior for Jesus. We're going to talk about prostitution. Where is the church when it comes to prostitution and human trafficking? Or is human trafficking and prostitution in the church?
The time has come for God's people to take a stand. Legalize Jesus. Text 71777, the word chosen, to 71777, or go to davidheavener.tv/chosen. Join the movement.